Hello everybody. So these are all the hyperbola notes. I'm gonna go through them kind of quick in these videos, guys. So one, I don't want them to be too long, especially for those that are going to be going through these videos. Assuming they're gonna be taking the test a little bit early. So we'll go ahead and get started here. So the last shape that we're gonna be talking about is a hyperbola, and so very similar to the ellipse in terms of I'm going to have two vertices, so two vertex, two co-vertex, which we know is B, the vertices is A, and two focuses, two foci, which I know that value is C. And so just so we know, hyperbolas, they either look like this or like this, kind of like two parabolas. Okay, and so I know this is the first time maybe that you've worked with this shape before, but really a lot of the same things that we just talked about with the ellipse is going to be present. Okay, and so oops. All right. So what's different about these guys, okay, and you're gonna have two vertices, you're gonna have two focuses, but really what you're not seeing right here is I also have two asymptotes. Okay, and so this is how I find that vertex and co-vertex, and this is what's gonna be a little bit different about the hyperbola that you haven't seen just yet. I'm gonna make like a box here from the center. These asymptotes, they will never reach, but these corners here is what I'm going to use as my A and B values. So the vertex, guys, the A, okay, always lies where I have the actual hyperbola, the shape. Okay, so vertex and A, these okay, where the hyperbola exists. So what we're going to find right here, this distance right here is my A distance. Okay, this distance over here, to make this box, is my B distance. Okay, so B is going to be where there is no hyperbola. So you see, I don't see a piece of the graph up here. I don't see a piece of the graph right here. Okay, so and the next thing is this value here from the center to the focus. That value is still C, so that still exists. So okay, where the hyperbola exists, and this is from the center to the vertex. Okay, this is where there is no hyperbola, and again this is from the center to the co-vertex, and from the from the focus is C, so this is from the center to the focus. Okay, and so very similar, guys. I have A, B, and C, and I'm going to use pretty much that same relationship like the ellipse, but unlike the ellipse, the C value, we can see here. Oops. Sorry about that. The C value is from the center to the focus, which now this is the biggest piece. So the C squared value, or the C value, is the biggest one now. So now I have A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So that's what changes from the ellipse to this one. So Center is still going to be H and K. Okay, so let's go ahead and work through a couple problems here. Oh, one more thing, sorry. Wherever I see the wherever I see the hyperbola, okay, that is what I call my transverse axis. So this right here would be my transverse, okay, going through the center. This one right here, still going through the transverse, but through the minor axis, is going to be the conjugate axis. So this is important here, guys, and I guess what I want you to see here is A and B is no longer going to be the biggest side, okay? That may change. So basic equation here is again, x minus y, y minus k. But a hyperbola, guys, it does have a negative sign. So when I see that this is positive, when I see the x is positive, guys, that means hyperbola is open in the x direction. Here I see that the y is positive, so that means that the moves in the y direction, which is up and down. So this one over here is left and right. Okay, so make note of that, and we'll go through it right now. Okay, so the notes here, guys. Okay, pretty much here everything is identifying the hyperbola. Excuse me, graphing the hyperbola, identifying the center, the vertices, and the foci. So this shouldn't be new to you. You're still gonna find the center, which I find. Remember, H is always with X. And K is always with Y. So here, guys, my center is going to be at +2 and at +1. Okay, that's not new. Now, what is new here, guys, is the A value. A is not necessarily the biggest value. It is the one with the positive. So here, I see that the X is positive. So this right here is my A value. Okay, this just so happens to be the bigger number. That does not mean, that does not mean that the biggest number is always the A value. Okay, but this is positive. Okay, there's no negative sign in front of the X, so this is the value for A. So A squared is equal to 9, which means A is equal to 3. Okay, so I see a negative sign right here in front of the Y, so that means that this one is the minor. Okay, so this one right here, the B value, the B squared value is equal to 4, so B is equal to 2. Okay, now I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and find the C value. Again, this may not be necessary to find just yet, when it comes to graphing and anything like that, but I want you to find it. And for a hyperbola, this is how I find that C value. So 3 squared plus 2 squared equals C squared. So 9 plus 4 is equal to C squared. 13 is equal to C squared. So C is equal to the square root of 13. Okay. So, what I'm going to do here, guys, go ahead and graph this. So I know the center is at 2, 1, so 1, 2, and 1 is the center. Okay. And now I know in the major direction, which I know is the X, I need to go 3. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 over here. 1, 2, 3 over here. 2 up, 2 side, and I'm gonna make a box around this. So this is no longer an ellipse, guys. Like, I'm not making it curved. This is a box. And I'm gonna make my asymptotes through these points, the edges. Notice how they're going through the center. And because this is the major axis in the X, that means that I open in the X direction. This is how I work this out. Okay, where this is the vertex, this is another vertex. Over here would be somewhere my focus, okay, and this is the shape that I made. Okay, so transverse, guys. That's the other thing I'm asking for. Transverse axis is this right here, the one that goes in the, where I see the hyperbola. And I see that this goes through the y-axis, so it is at y equals +1. The conjugate axis, where I do not see hyperbola, still going through the center, is right here. And that goes through the x-axis at x equals 2. So that is all the information I'm asking for on these. Okay, so we're going to do another example here. Again, starting with the center, the A value, the B value, and you're going to find the C for today. Okay, you may not need it to find the equation or to graph, but you're going to find it. So, center, guys, just don't be tricked here. You see how the Y is second? Okay, we usually write the positive one in the front. So, remember, H is always with the X, so here it is -2, and the K is -1. Okay, so don't be tricked that way. They see that the Y is positive. Okay, right here I'm looking at the sign in front. So this is the major axis in the Y direction, and this is the minor. So please don't get confused, guys. I mean, if these were still switched, if the 9 was over here and the 16 was over here, the major axis would still be the Y because it's positive here. So here my A value is equal to 4. The square root of 16 is 4. Square root of 9 is 3, so my B value is 3. And I would use this relationship here to find my C value. So my C value is 5. Okay, this ends up being a perfect square. So, so to graph this thing, I'm going to go to -2, -1. And I know that in the major direction I want to go 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3 in the minor. 1, 2, 3 in the minor. So remember, making a box here. Oops, I went a little bit too far there. Okay, so going through these corners, these are my asymptotes. Alright. And because the major axis is in the y direction, again, because this is a positive one, my graph is going to look like this. Okay, where, again, just to finish this off, my transverse, which is where I see the hyperbola, the hyperbola. This is moving in the x direction. So this is x, it goes through the x-axis, so x is equal to -2. And the conjugate is at y is equal to, right here, -1. Oops. So that's hyperbolas, guys, and look for the next video where I will talk a little bit more about graphing it using the information. Okay.